Alrighty, good morning everybody. Let's start off with a couple of full body stretches. So a nice deep breath in, stretching up tall. And as you breathe out, coming down towards your toes, letting that upper body flop and hang forward. Get rid of that morning stiffness out of the body as we relax downwards, getting the stretch through the back of our body. And coming up, deep breath in, reaching up tall. And breathing out, coming down. Trying to get that little bit further than last time. Relaxing forward, chin to your chest, feeling that stretch through the back of the body. And one more coming up, nice deep breath in, reach, and breathing out, coming down. Really letting that upper body relax downwards, flopping forward as far as you can. Then coming up, stretching up tall, we're going to come into a side bend. So just grabbing onto your top wrist, pulling it over so that we get that stretch going through the side of our body. Opening up through the side. Up and over to the other side, pulling on that wrist, pull it over, stretching out through the rib cage. Let's do one more each side, up and over, really focusing on the hip this time, trying to push the hip out to the side so we get that stretch through the hip area. And up and over to the other side, pushing that hip out. Excellent. And release. All right, grabbing your broomstick, we'll open up our shoulders. So just holding on either side, nice and loosely, nice and wide, taking it overhead and then back forward again. Remembering never to force this one. If you can't get it all the way down, that's okay. Just take it to where you can feel a stretch and then bring it back again. As we open up those shoulders, increasing the range of movement in that shoulder joint. If it's too easy, you can bring your hands a little bit closer together and then take it back again. It'll increase your stretch a little bit. Alright, then we're going to take it around in a circle, so one arm at a time. Taking it around the body. You might find this one a little bit easier than both arms at the same time. Back the other way. Excellent, and a couple more straight overhead. Awesome. Alrighty, let's do our shoulder rotation. Rotator cuff, that's the word I'm looking for. Putting your arm straight out at a right angle, putting your pole on the outside of that arm, reaching back to grab it, and then with our bottom hand, we're just pulling our pole towards us or pulling a hand away from us to get that stretch. You should feel it through the back of that shoulder. Just pull it to where you can feel that stretch, hold it for a second or two, then release. And each time we go, you want to see if you can pull it that little bit further. So that pole is on the outside of our arm. And then we can use our lever to bring about that stretch. Alright, let's go for the other hand. So out at a right angle, pole on the outside, reach back to grab it, and then using our other hand as a lever to give us that stretch. And increase that shoulder range of movement. Doing one more. Lovely, and release. Popping that pole up on your shoulders, keeping your hips facing forward, just rotating through your upper body, getting that twist out through the spine. And then pivoting on one foot, rotating that little bit further. We get the whole body involved as we wake up our body, get it moving. Alrighty. Popping the poles away and coming down to the floor. We're going to do our up dog and down dog next. So on hands and toes. Down dog is chin to chest, pushing everything backwards, bum up in the air, and pushing your heels down towards the ground. Getting that nice stretch through the back of the body. And then I want you to bring your hips forward, gently arching through the lower back and looking up for up dog. You can rest your hips on the ground if you need to, or keep them off the ground for a little bit of a challenge. Then squeezing through your tummy, lifting back up to down dog, chin to chest, pushing it all backwards, trying to push your chest towards your thighs, your toes away onto the ground, heels into the ground as well. Let's do one more of each. So bringing those hips forward to up dog, looking up. And squeezing through the tummy, lifting those hips back up again for down dog. Alright, and release. Alright, lovely. We're going to start now by isolating some of our muscle groups. So starting off laying on your back, we're going to go for our calf and our shin first. So popping one leg straight up in the air, just holding behind the knee to help it stay there. And we're going to point our toe, angling it towards the midline of your body. So angle it inwards, and you should feel a stretch going through the front of your shin or front of your ankle, depending on where you're tight. So pointing and then angling inwards for our stretch on the shin. You might need to play around with that angle a little bit, trying to find that perfect spot for you. Then pulling those toes towards you to stretch out through the back of the calf. So these ones are great to do after you've been out for a walk. Stretch out the calf and the shin. It'll help to reduce any tension in these muscles. Pointing again, angling inwards. This particular one can help if you suffer with shin splint issues. Trying to reduce some of that tension going through our shins. And then pulling towards you to stretch out the calf. If you've got a condition called plantar fasciitis, stretching out the calf is the best way to help reduce that tension as well. So this is a good one for that. Alright, let's change sides. So bringing the other leg straight up into the air, pointing the toe, angling it inwards towards the midline of your body, getting that stretch out through the front of your ankle or up your shin. Play around with that angle till you find the stretch, and then pulling your toes towards you for the calf stretch. Now the straighter your leg is, the more you will feel this one. So try not to have too much of a bend in that knee. Let's do one more of each. So point the toes, angle it inwards, find that spot in your shin. And pulling toes towards you for the calf stretch. Alrighty, on to our next one. We're going to take both hands straight out to the side like we're laying on a cross, straightening out both legs, bringing one knee and foot over across the body, trying to press that knee and the opposite shoulder down towards the ground. You can use your hand on your knee to help push it down a little bit further, but you should feel this opening up through your lower back, your hip, and the chest of your shoulder that you're trying to keep down as well. Nice deep breaths. And as you breathe out, I want you to think about trying to increase that stretch, whether it's pulling on your knee that little bit more, try to press your shoulder back into the ground, whatever you need to do to get that gentle increase. Looking away from your knee will help as well. Really getting that lengthening through the lower back. And then let's change to the other side. Taking the knee and foot all the way across the body Opening up through the lower back and chest as you keep your shoulder down nice and low. Nice deep breathing, and as you breathe out, increasing that stretch, pulling that knee down that little bit further. Alright, then release, and just hugging your knees in towards your chest, either hugging over or under your knees, it doesn't matter, and just rocking from side to side. Relaxing out all around the pelvis as we do this one. And then rocking backwards and forwards along the spine, giving it a bit of a massage all the way from your tailbone to your shoulders. And then once you've got enough momentum, sitting up and coming up to your knees. We'll stretch out our hip flexors next, so bringing one foot forward. You're going to tuck your tailbone under, slightly leaning back so we start to open up through the front of that hip, and then leaning up and over towards your forward leg. So this way we can really open up through the front of the hip. Especially important if you sit down for long periods of time. In a seated position, our hip flexors get very short and very tight, and it can contribute to lower back pain as well. So if you go to stand up and you feel a twang of lower back pain, chances are stretching out your hip flexors like this will really help. Gently increasing that stretch by pressing forward through the hips, but stay leaning back and over. Alright, changing to the other side, bring the other knee forward, tuck that tailbone under, leaning back, and then up and over towards the forward leg. And with each breath out, thinking about increasing that stretch, tucking that tailbone under more, pressing forward through the hips, back through the upper body. Even leaning over further with that top hand, really opening up everything through that hip joint. Alright, and release. We'll do our inner thigh next. So taking your legs straight out to the side, sitting down on your heel and leaning forward. Once we lean forward onto our elbows, we can then rock backwards and forwards. You'll feel that changing in your inner thigh. There are 5 different muscles in the adductor group, so by changing that angle, we're changing which one we're stretching. If you find a particularly tight one, you can hold that point. Otherwise, you just keep rocking for that general broad stretch. And then while we're in this stretch, what I want you to think about is that foot, trying to slide it away from you. Really lengthening out through that inner thigh. Our inner thigh is often an underestimated area, but it has lots to do with stability of our knee and our pelvis. So it's always a great one to stretch if you've got issues in either of those areas. Lengthening it out, pushing that foot away as you breathe out. And then coming up and changing to the other side. Legs straight out to the side, sit down on your heel, leaning it forward and rocking back and forth, finding that perfect spot to stretch as you let that foot slide away from you, opening up through that inner thigh. And release. Onto hands and knees, we're going to do our cat stretches next. So cat stretches, we've got our angry cat, hunching our back up towards the ceiling, chin comes towards your chest. Really rounding through that back. And then happy cat, extending the other way, pushing your shoulder blades, your chest down as you look up for happy cat. Alternating between the two, so we've got our angry cat, pressing your hands into the ground as you lift your back up towards the ceiling, chin to chest. And then happy cat. Squeeze those shoulder blades together at the back as you arch the opposite way. The other thing with these ones is you can rock backwards and forwards. Remember, with stretching, it's all about finding that angle. So by rocking, you'll feel that stretch change. If you feel a really good spot, just hold it there. Let's do one more of each. Angry cat, chin to chest. You can rock, finding that perfect spot to stretch as we lengthen out through the spine. And then happy cat, arching, looking up, squeezing those shoulder blades together, extending through the spine. Alright, then with a nice neutral spine, we're going to sit back on our heels and stretch forward. Now I want you to imagine that I'm pulling on your hands, trying to pull you forward, and you're trying to sit back against that pull. Tucking your chin in towards your chest, you can rest your forehead on the ground to really relax into this stretch. With each breath out, creeping those fingers forward that little bit more, sitting back as much as you can. Nice deep breaths, really sitting back into this child's pose stretch. And I want you to turn your hands over so palms are face up. And then exact same thing, imagining that I'm pulling on those hands, trying to pull them forward. You're trying to sit back against that pull. You should feel this one more through the lats, down the sides of your back or your shoulders. Keeping that chin tucked into the chest, leaning it back, creep those arms forward. And then relax. Coming up into a plank position. Couple of seconds of hard work here, guys, holding a plank. And you're going to bring one knee up in between your hands. Foot goes across in front of the body. And we're going to drop down into our pigeon stretch to stretch out through our glute around the hip. So again, once we're in this stretch, we can rock from side to side. There's lots of different muscles around that glute hip area. So we can change our angle, change our focus of the stretch. You can also play with the intensity of this one by playing around with the foot that's up here on the ground. The higher you lift your foot up, the more intense your stretch is going to be. You can make it more gentle by leaving the foot down towards the other knee. Stretching at the glutes is super important though. We use our glutes for every single movement that we do. They're very well used and strong muscle. They deserve a bit of TLC. But they also work very closely with our lower back. So again, if you have lower back pain, stretching out the glutes can often help. Alrighty, let's step back into our plank. And then bringing the other knee forward, foot across in front of the body, dropping down into our stretch on the other side. So again, rocking, finding that perfect spot to stretch and hold there. Otherwise, just keep on rocking for that general broad stretch. Alrighty. Coming into a seated position. We're going to go one leg in and one leg out, reaching down towards the toes of our straight leg. If you can't reach them, that's okay, but just pulling those toes towards you so we get the length through the back of the leg. And then with our free hand coming up and over to reach down as well. This way we should also get that lower back stretch with that top arm. So you can either increase this one by reaching further with your bottom hand or with your top hand, or if you're keen, go for both. So as we focus on our breathing, each breath out, trying to increase that stretch, reaching down that little bit further, lengthening out through the back of the leg. and the lower back. And release. Let's come over to the other side. Reaching down towards the toe, pulling toes towards you, and then up and over with our top arm. So in the ideal world, we do want to hold our stretches for at a minimum of 30 seconds. We're doing about 15 to 20 seconds today just so we can get through the whole body in a half hour. But I do encourage you to do some of these throughout the day, especially if they felt good or if you're tight in a certain area. And the longer you hold them, the better they will be, the better your muscles will respond. So 30 seconds is a great minimum. A minute is even better. Our muscles are stubborn and they need some time to adapt. Alrighty, releasing that one, bringing both feet in together. Try to press your knees down towards the ground. I am cheating a little bit by leaning against something. You're more than welcome to do that. It'll help press your knees down so that we get that stretch through our inner thigh groin area. And then while we're here, we'll multitask and stretch out our forearms as well. So palm down, fingers down, and then pulling your fingers towards you to get that stretch through our forearm extensors. These are the ones that are in charge of lifting up our fingers. So things like typing greatly use our forearm extensors. Whereas if you've got tennis elbow or RSI, repetitive strain injuries are very common through this area. So this can be a great stretch to help them out. Keeping those knees pressed down, and I hope you've all got great posture, sitting up nice and straight and tall. Let's go for the other hand. So palm down, fingers down, pulling your hand towards you. Let's think posture, up nice and straight and tall. It's very easy to start slumping. Alright, then you can stretch your forearm flexors by turning your hand over, but instead we're going to do both arms at the same time by coming into a hands and knees position, fingers towards your knees, and then gently leaning back. You'll feel that lengthening out through those forearm flexors. Now our flexors are what are in charge of our grip strength, so if you ever have any grip issues or you've got to hold on to things for long periods of time, stretching out these ones can certainly help with that. You've also got golfer's elbow and carpal tunnel, which are common injuries through this area. So you're in control of this one by how far back you lean. If you need to release it, shift your body weight forward. To intensify, bring it back, or move your arms forward as well. Alrighty, releasing, rolling out through those wrists, and then interlocking your fingers, pressing your hands away, stretching out through your palms and fingers as we come up to standing. Alrighty, let's do our quads, nice big muscles on the top of our legs, bringing your foot up towards your bum, and then with our quad stretch we want to try and pull our knees together, pressing forward through the hips to get that lengthening out through our quad. If you need to hold on to something for balance, that's absolutely fine. Otherwise, it's a good test of your ankle stability to try and stay balanced. You can increase this one, again, by testing your balance more, leaning forward, taking that leg out the back behind you. Otherwise, you can just stay vertical. Other side. Bringing your foot up towards your bum, pulling those knees together, pressing forward through the hips. Get that lengthening out through the quad, and then you can increase it by bringing that body weight forward, leg out the back behind you. Otherwise, just staying vertical. release. We'll do our chest next. So I reckon stretching at the chest is one of the most important things you can do for your posture. So I want you to find yourself a wall or a door frame or a cupboard, something that you can press against. Hand and elbow on your wall, turning and twisting away. Turning with your whole body so that we can really open up through the chest. If you are on a flat wall like I am, we want to aim our armpit towards that wall. If you're on a door frame, it's much easier. You can just press against your door frame to get that stretch through the front. But so often we get a lot of tension through our upper back and shoulders because we're rolling forward through our chest and shoulders. We're always hunching forward in everyday life, and eventually we just start to stay there and creates a lot of tension through our upper back and shoulders. So by stretching out our chest, our shoulders come back, we're able to sit up and stand up a lot straighter, taking the pressure off the upper back. So if you're feeling that upper back tension, you stretch your chest. You can play around with the height of your elbow on the wall, taking it higher or lower. You'll feel that stretch change as well. Well, let's go for the other side. So hand and elbow on your wall, turning with your whole body to twist away. And then if you're on the flat wall, aiming your armpit towards that wall, really getting that stretch through the front of the chest. Our shoulder positioning plays a huge role on whether you'll end up a hunchback or not. So we certainly want to be able to keep our shoulders back to stay up nice and straight and tall as we age. Not looking forward to the aging process, that's for sure. But all these little things will certainly help. Alright, releasing that one, and we'll stretch out our neck to finish off with. So bringing one hand behind your back, the other hand is gently pulling our head over to the side. So the hand behind our back helps to keep the shoulder down nice and low so that we get our length out through the neck. Again, there's lots of little muscles through the neck here, so you might like to play around with the angle, tilting your chin up or down. You'll feel the stretch changing. I want you to find the tightest point and hold there. Looking towards your armpit and pulling forwards. Getting that stretch out through the back of the neck. This is getting our Levator Scapula. Our Lev Scap is a very common headache trigger, and it's the one that when we're stressed, it pulls our shoulders up around our ears. It's always a great one to stretch out, especially if you're in a high stress situation. Let's go for the other side, so swapping your hand behind your back, bringing the other arm up and pulling the head over. Tilting your chin to find your perfect angle for where you're tight. Now these neck stretches are great ones to do in the shower, with the hot water going straight on that area. Our muscles do respond best when they're warm, so in the shower or the bath or just after is a great time to stretch, or after exercise as well. Or you can be like me and stand underneath the heater first thing in the morning. Looking down towards your armpit, pulling towards your armpit. Getting that stretch out through the Lev Scap. Alrighty, and then for our last one, we'll get the front of our neck. So fingers on your collarbone, pushing it downwards, looking up and away to get that length out through our scalenes in the front of the neck. We're always looking down at our phones or our children, and we get quite tight through the front of the neck. And these muscles can contribute to our breathing ability and also jaw pain as well. And other side. So if you do feel particularly tight in any of these areas, I do encourage you to do these stretches more throughout your day and holding them for longer. This is just a brief overview to show you different things that you can do yourself. Alrighty, let's finish up with a couple of minutes of relaxation. So if you have a foam roller, grabbing that. Otherwise you can just get a few rolled up towels and use them in the same fashion. We want to be sitting on one end and resting our head down on the other. Finding a nice comfortable position with our spine nice and straight. And I want you to open your arms out to the side so that our shoulders are falling back, continuing with that gentle chest stretch for our shoulder posture. Now, trying to take away all distractions, I want you to close your eyes and bring your attention to your breathing. Nice deep breath in all the way down to your belly as you feel it rise, and gently out through your mouth. Breathing out is when our body naturally relaxes, so just feeling your body flop and relax with each out breath. Letting go of any of your tension areas. If you hold your stress in your glutes or in your shoulders, your neck or your jaw, unclenching those areas, letting them drop and sink down. Feeling heavy with each exhale. Slowly in, all the way down, feeling that nourishing breath going through your body and then gently out. Now this morning, what I want you to do is just search through your memories and think back to a time when you were really happy. Immersing yourself in that moment, imagining that you were back there again, and I want you to experience that emotion that you were feeling that happiness running through your body. Whatever that memory may be, so long as it's one that you can look back on and going, that was a great day, that was a great moment. And just reminding yourself of how that moment felt, feeling that feeling going through your body so that we can improve our current mood and our current feeling right now. Feeling it uplifting. Feel that smile creeping on your face. You just remember that special moment that you enjoyed. Last few moments of deep breathing, feeling that happiness running through you. Really letting your body relax on the out breath, softening all your muscles and your joints. And for our last few breaths, what I want you to do is breathe out for longer than you breathed in. We've got a little bit of extra oxygen in our lungs called our oxygen reserve, and it's good to clear that out every once in a while. So a nice deep breath in for the count of 4, and then breathing out for 6 or 7. When you feel like you've breathed everything out, breathe out a little bit more. Really push that oxygen out of your lungs, refreshing your lungs as you breathe in fresh new air, and then all the way out. Last one, in through your nose and out through your mouth, and out a bit more. And when you're ready, hopping up. And hopefully you feel a little bit less stressed, a little bit less tense and happy as you continue on through your day. I'll see you next time.